Hello everyone, welcome to the Just Real podcast, and today on my show is James Francis. He's a young up and coming boxer. He's just turned professional, 19 years of age, James, yeah?
Yeah.
And the message today, we're sort of aiming this at young people to sort of show them that they can be in a better place than what they are. It's a tough time for young people, and you know, we want to inspire them and send the message across that they can change a bad situation into a good one. Like James has, he started off life, we're going to go into that, but in children's homes and stuff, and in schools, but we'll get into it now. So thank you for coming on, James.
Cheers.
Nice one, lad. So let's start from the very beginning. Sort of, what was your where were you born and stuff like that? Where did you grow up as a child? And
Well, I was born on Hillside Avenue.
was that Heighton?
Yeah, just up the road. I was born on there, lived on there for 12 years.
Nice.
And then we was like the spotlight of the estate, where like every time something happened, it was like, it's the Franners. We turned around and my dad wanted to make a change, and we moved to Kirby, and then we lived in Kirby for 6 months.
And when you were younger, how many brothers and sisters? You've got brothers and sisters, you the oldest, or?
No, well, I'm the fourth oldest out of me really, but there's another three. Like,
Is that not full brothers and sisters?
Nah, different mums. Like, my dad's got 3 different kids to another girl.
Yeah, right. So when you were growing up and stuff, did you get on with your brothers and stuff, or was it just like a normal household? Was it just? We
was dead close. Like, when we was all like Christmas time and this and that, we used to, because we had loads of brothers and sisters, it was like boss, like we'll all have the same clothes and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like matching proper, so like a close family.
Yeah.
So when you were born, was your mum and dad together and stuff?
My mum and dad was together for 22 years.
Was they? So you were born into like a stable sort of household then, weren't you? With
Well, I have a big family, like, cause me great nan has 14 or 16 kids.
Right.
So we have 14. I don't know whether it's 14 or 16, it's that many.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just like generations, you know what I mean?
There's loads of years, was that?
But my nan had 3 sets of twins.
Yeah.
Was the first woman in Britain, I think, to have 3 sets of twins.
Was she? Yeah, 3 sets.
I think it's that. I'm not too sure, but yeah. She had 3 sets of twins.
So obviously you were born into sort of a stable sort of home, then your mum and dad were together and stuff, and then I know that you then it got a little bit unsettled. Your dad sort of left. What happened there?
Well, when I was young, when I was about 9, my dad was cheating on my mum, had an affair. At the start, I was the only one that knew, because like when I was younger, when I was playing football, it turned out that I was because I was the best player out of my brothers and sisters. Yeah. So my dad used to make sure that was my dad's pride and joy every weekend, going to watch us play football. So you and your dad had a sort of little special bond because you were. Yeah, I would say it was my dad's favourite, like, but not even that. It was just like I was just dead close to my dad anyway, just because we when he used to have a gym in our bathroom. Right. And I used to go in and do press-ups, sit-ups, you know, because I just liked that. So,
how did it make you feel when you found out your dad was cheating on your mum? Because I know, obviously, that can disturb a family. How did it make you feel, that knowing that your dad would do that to your mum? Did that hurt your feelings? Did that make you sort of feel a certain way towards him, or was your bond just too strong?
Well, I wanted to tell my mum, but my brain, the way I thought and I think, my brain was like, then if I tell my mum, I know what type of person my mum is, and my dad won't be here, and I was the favourite. I was dead close to my dad, so it was like losing my mum or losing my dad. And I thought, I'm not going to say nothing. I know it's horrible.
Did you think, obviously, because of your bond with your dad, you sort of sided with him for that sort of aspect of things, or wasn't it?
I never sided anyone. It was just like I didn't choose anyone, because if I chose my mum, I would have lost my dad. If I chose my dad, I would have lost my mum. So at that time, at 9 years of age, thinking that, I didn't want to lose someone. So it was just like, keep the peace, and then like, that was it. So, couple of months went by, and my dad, my brother, my older brother, started like, trying to, he must have found out, and he was trying to kill himself.
Was he? So it was affected him
but
like that?
he was arguing with his bird at that time, so I only know now that he was trying to kill himself because he knew that my dad was cheating on my mum as well.
Yeah.
Just because all of us was that close, it was like
I bet it was like a sort of bomb went off, like a bombshell to the family, weren't it? I bet it just absolutely threw a spanner in the works, and just, you know, from people that I know, situations like that, and as you say, it still affects you to this day, so plus, it can have a big impact on your life, can't it?
Plus it was more special that at that time we only had 8 brothers and sisters, that's it, and all of us was to the same mum and dad, and it was like, we didn't look at a brother thinking, oh, you're only half, or you're only this, you're like my proper brother, and we used to like go out every day, like all my brothers, like when we
together,
which all used to go out, and it was just like, obviously me, I just didn't want to break the family up, and then it come to a point where me brother found out, which obviously I didn't know, I only know now, but we thought it was because him and his girlfriend was having arguments, and then obviously his girlfriend's dad died, and we thought it was because of that, and I don't know, we never, I don't know how the others was feeling, but me, me looking as having a brain, I didn't know what was going on really, so on the occasions he tried to kill himself, like, turned around and he was hanging in the loft, and obviously we saved his life, and at 9 years of age,
to see something like that,
to see like me, literally see me brother hanging me loft where he's planned it out and all that, and then he's gone to a woods where he started, the chain was on the tree already, and like he's planned it already, like just a feeling that losing one of my brothers was probably the hardest, and then like obviously I didn't know how it was going on, but then it turned out that he ended up telling me mum, like at one time when my dad was out, I went out with my dad, and when we come back, my mum like obviously went nuts and went mad, and then turned around, and then my mum ended up going into the hospital for 2 years, and then
was that just with mental health turn for the worst then, did it? Obviously with all the heartache, and obviously your dad was like disloyal, weren't he, to the, you know, and obviously they were together for 22 years, did you say? So it's going to be a big impact, isn't it, and have a big effect on you.
I think it's affected me mum more because like the problems she had with her mum and dad back in the day, because I think my mum told me 1 or 2 stories where say me granddad back in the day might have been going with someone else or something. I think I don't know, might be wrong, but I think that's played on her mind, that it's happened then and now it's happened to her, so
it just goes to show you, like I'm saying. So obviously that situation has obviously affected your mum because she was hurting. We're obviously getting cheated on, it hurts anyone, doesn't it? And it plays a big role in sort of how bad you feel inside when someone does that to you. You feel a bit like abandoned and stuff like that. But see, when you're saying there about you, it sort of played in your mum's head about her childhood and stuff. Your childhood can have a really big effect on you, can't it, and stuff. And obviously you being 9 years of age and your dad's cheated on your mum, and then you felt torn between your mum and your dad, and then you'd obviously you and your dad had this bond. But you know, it must be hard to see stuff like that, and it must play on your mind, and obviously it still affects you to this day. And this is what I'm saying about other youngsters that are going through all this sort of stuff. You know, it's a hard situation, but other people have gone through it like yourself, you know, and it's just one of them. And this is the sort of message that we're trying to get out to these youngsters, that, you know, my family life weren't exactly the same as yours, but I've had bad times like that, and it affects you to this day. But you can get past all that. But anyway, so you were obviously affected by that. How did how did your dad feel about you knowing? Was he telling you not to tell your mum?
There was no signs that he knew that I knew.
Yeah.
Just that, and I didn't make it obvious. I didn't like turn around and say whatever.
Yeah.
But
you sort of kept it in yourself,
yeah.
And that's another thing that young people do, isn't it? Keep little things like that inside, and it plays on the minds and stuff. So obviously, you know, it's the start of your life there. It's a difficult situation, isn't it? And then how did it affect your school? Like moving on a little bit from that, just to you sort of progressing in school and stuff like that. How did it affect you in school and the other parts of your life?
So when I was in year 6, I got kicked out of school in year 6. Yeah. Just got kicked out of school in year 6, but it was leading to me going into year 7. Like it was near to the end of the year.
Yeah.
So when I went into year 7, I went to Lord Derby Academy, which was Askell or Sealy at the time.
Right.
And got in there. I like that thing with like my mum and dad didn't make me do anything in school. Yeah, like it was just the way it was.
Yeah.
So when I was in year 7, I went into year 7. It was only dead small, but when I went in, some mad reason that everyone looked at me as a leader. I don't know why.
Was you doing a bit of boxing back then?
No,
was
no.
Your hand, you know,
I was just a football player.
No.
But I was dead small, and I don't know, there was kids bigger than me and stuff like that, but everyone looked at me as like a leader, but probably the way I speak and like...
Well, it's probably part of your character. You can tell that from just talking to you and stuff like that, and even talking to you in the past, and you can tell it by your videos and stuff like that. So so there was no bullying or anything like that in school.
No.
There weren't.
Like I used to tell everyone to like if bully did happen, like in school when you go into year 7, some people start picking on a few kids because they don't know them, this and that. So I was the one that used to swerve all that, like used to tell them if they tried to pick on someone who's on their own or something like that.
I'm surprised to hear that.
But it was just mad the way I turned around and I got kicked out within the first month, but within like 3-4 days I had like 60 lads all behind me and I was the front, so I was the leader from year 7. That's where my life kicked off really, and like growing up, you know what I mean, like turned around and ended up like I said, when I got kicked out in year 7, I moved to Prescott School then.
That a high school? Yeah,
another high school, and within the first week, I got some lads again looked at me as like a leader, so I turned around and some lad like pushed me out to the side, just probably because I was new and obviously trying to bully me.
Test the water, yeah. Some people are like that.
So I turned around and I end up battering them, and like I end up getting kicked out of that school as well. So it got to a point where no schools wanted me just because when I joined the school, loads of people are behind me, so I'm like a leader.
Yeah.
So no one really wanted me in the school, so we end up going to this little place called Star. It was like a little alternative program.
Yeah, like the kids call it like a bad behavioural school and stuff like that. That's sort of slang on the streets for them, but like a school that specialises more for people.
So I went to there, and in there was a few lads who I was dead close to, and there was also a teacher called Claire Hand and Gary Crosby, who I'd become close with them just because they used to know, because they had my older brother Lewis, they used to know like bits about our family, like the struggles we was going through and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I had a lot of respect for them. Like anytime I was misbehaving, if they said pack it in, I'd turn around and stop. Sometimes obviously things would be floating in my head, so I misbehave, but then one day I ended up running down the lorry road, and then Claire Ann come after me, because obviously Claire Ann looked at me like I was one of their kids, because I was dead close with Claire. And so we ended up getting kicked out of there. But this STAR programme was like, the teachers was from some school called Newstead.
Newstead?
In Kirby, it's like a like
what they say, a bad behavioural school, or they call like the normal schools, if you like, on the streets, like a mainstream school, don't they? And then you like your bad behaviour school and all that sort of stuff.
So I ended up going to Newstead. It was only when I got there, it was only there for a couple of like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And then I ended up moving to Meadow Park. All the olders come to Meadow Park where all the youngers was, because Meadow Park was the younger one of Newstead. So then all the teachers, all Meadow Park, Newstead teachers, all moved to obviously the younger building, Meadow Park and Connie and Clare and end up moving there as well to Meadow Park. And obviously I don't know if Gary Crosby did, but there was a few teachers anyway. So when I moved to Meadow Park, I was in like year 8 at this time, and then I got a bond with Clare Ann, so we ended up being in Clare Ann's class, and then like I was doing good in school. Like like at the start, I was doing all right.
And is that because you think that the relationship that you had with these teachers that you knew, because I always used to find, because I've been in a few schools like that and I've been kicked out of schools myself, and I always found that in the mainstream schools, well, on the streets they call them the normal schools, the teachers seem to be a bit more textbook type workers and stuff, and they'll do the job, and you know, the kids who are quite balanced in them schools, you know, they've had a balanced life, not all of them, and you know, we're doing this to sort of hopefully speak out to kids who are in school and struggling, not all the kids, but I always find that I struggle to deal with them textbook workers, I like to call them, you know, teachers who are just sort of didn't really sort of put the little extra mile in, and I always tend to find that the teachers that worked in some of the naughty schools that I went to give a little bit more and a bit more themselves, you know.
Well, yeah, because in Meadow Park, like every teacher, like obviously me, because obviously this time, like I was going through a change in life, so at this time I used to look at teachers and like think they're my mum and they're my dad, so, and they used to in like Meadow Park, they used to always reach out and always help you out, always have chats with you, and obviously in mainstream you don't really get that, so they did support a lot. And then when I was in Meadow Park, I was there for the rest of up to year 11 with like the same teachers. Like it weren't like, say there was only 500, 2,000 people in the school, so it weren't massive. They probably weren't even that many people, but like with me, and I had Bobby, my younger brother was in there, John, my other younger brother, Lewis, my older brother, Kaylee, my older sister, and obviously Auntie left. So I had my brothers in there, which was...
So you had close people to you and you probably felt a bit more comfortable and stuff. When you were in schools and you were struggling in schools in terms of behaviour and stuff, do you think that the way that pupils used to sort of look up to you and stuff, do you think you had a little bit of pressure on you to sort of maybe be a class clown or someone that would play up a little bit?
Well, it was mad, because even though I was in a smaller school, so like all, like say like year 2s was in a class next door to me, and that it was like a junior and a high school, so like it was a smaller school, and so like I was in class with like year 11s, even though I was in year 8 and stuff like that, so it was pretty good. But it was actually like as the years was going on in this school, I was getting like a report, like not a report card, a card come out where you can get 50 points in a day. And obviously our aim was to get back to mainstream, like normal school. Like this 50 point card was seeing how good you're doing in lessons and how good you're doing in a day. So I end up getting a record in there of like 12 weeks of like 50s every single day.
And do you think that the target to hit, it was like a goal? Do you think that helped you sort of focus more in because I remember when I was in them schools and I was trying to get back to mainstream school, and what I used to do, admittedly, I'll admit, I used to like the praise, and I used to like people sort of, you know, saying, well done, you've done good there, and I loved the fact that I was working towards a goal, and I'd be as good as I could to get these certificates every week until eventually I made it back into mainstream school. In the end, it didn't last long, but having that goal and also having like, oh, look at you being a good boy, and that praise of the teachers, I was like, oh, I was loving it, I was soaking it up, and I think that's what I needed support, and I feel like my childhood, I weren't getting loads of support, family breakdowns and stuff like yourself, so I just needed them adults in my life that were supportive of me and maybe praising me and making me feel, you know, like I was worth something. And it sounds like when you went into the other school and you met Mr. Crosby and Claire Hands, that was sort of adults in your life then, that was sort of maybe like supportive and there for you and see.
Well, at this time, like when I was in school, when all my brothers and sisters, my dad ended up going to jail, and obviously me two younger brothers and sisters, Lily and Willis, they was in Wayne in our school, you know, where I said five of us was in the same school, and then he obviously left school, and Lily and Willis was in a primary school, like a normal primary school, and so they brought Lily and Willis to our school, and then he said, your dad's been, my mum was still in hospital at this time, and then my dad ended up getting sentenced in jail.
Did he?
So they turned around and said all he is going to foster places, which we went in twos, which was alright instead of going on yourself, because all our family got split up. And then we went into foster place. I went with John, and I got lucky because I'm only from up there, from in Iton, but I only got moved to Whiston, which is just on the outside of Iton, so I was still, all my family still lived in Iton, so like my other brothers and sisters got Waterloo, got Clough Bar, so me and John got lucky with getting still closer Iton to our family, or to wherever we're from.
So you had a little bit of normality still, even in that situation. When you say you then got put into foster care, just before that, the reason why you got put into foster care, was that just solely because your dad went to jail for drugs? Was your mum not there for you still, or was she ill in a hospital still?
She was still in hospital, so when obviously my dad was when my mum ended up going into the hospital, when I'd say a year before that, so my dad was looking after us and my nan, my dad's mum, so they was helping us, and obviously was there for us while my mum was in hospital, and then my dad ended up going to jail, so there was no one who can take us, plus it was taking a while to see if family can get us, but a couple of years before that, like in and out of our lives, like social services was trying to get us stuff off my mum and stuff like that, so sometimes we would go and live with the family for, I went and lived with my nan.
Was there any alcohol or drug abuse from your parents and stuff
No.
No?
It's mad because none of my brothers and sisters, the 8 of me proper, obviously the other 3 are younger, so they're younger than the oldest is 8 are the 3, but so none of my brothers and sisters drink, they don't go out and drink. My brother turned 18 the other day and it was his first drink, and my sister doesn't drink, my brothers don't drink, so it's a bit weird.
Well, the thing is as well, I sort of being experienced in this sort of stuff myself from my childhood and stuff, I always find, and I've worked in children's homes and stuff now since then, and I find that, some young people grow up and develop learned behaviours, and if you say there was no drinking and drug abuse in your family, then probably maybe a reason why none of your brothers and sisters do. When you say social workers were looking on taking years off your parents before, then a couple of years in advance, what was that over? Was there any violence, or what was it, neglect, or?
No, it's just that, sometimes we'd be late for school, or sometimes we'll be naughty in school and this and that, so social services wanted to question it, like why are they late? You're the only kids who are late, and you're the only kids who are, say, like badly misbehaving in school, so why is that and this and that. So obviously they was thinking like me mum or my dad might have
like sort of weren't bothering enough to get, maybe. And when was that because there was so many of you and you just always messed around, boisterous and stuff, you were just late, or was it because was your mum and dad were they trying to get you off of school and stuff like that? Was there any sort of, you know, any negative stuff like that?
Nah, like when we was younger, me mum and dad was like, even though we used to get up to a lot, me mum and dad was dead strict. Like, say I went in through a stone at someone's window and he knocked at my dad's. Like my dad have a good go at me, they're not like soft and like push over, so we couldn't stay in bed if we had school or none of that. But it was just like, my dad's a bad timekeeper. That's even though the school was up the road, like my dad used to, or sometimes we'd wake up late, some was with.
And there's a lot of in the house, brothers, you know what I mean? It's must have been out with that many lads. And you know, did you say you had sisters like between the 8 of you, you know?
Yeah, got two
sisters, So that many kids in the house, I bet it was hard.
Plus, we would be up to like 1, 2s in the mornings. Like we weren't a family where like someone turned around and the dad or the mum turned around and said bed 9 o'clock, no phone, no this. We had a phone, we had a PlayStation, so when we're in bed we're all fighting, we're batting each other on the bed and that. So we went to bed late and it weren't like, we never had a structure in the house.
So obviously, you've all this has gone on with your parents and stuff, with your dad cheating and stuff, and obviously your close relationship to your dad. Did you know your dad was selling drugs and stuff like that, or had anything to do with drugs beforehand? Was there any signs of that? That might have affected you in any way? It
never affected me, no. It was my brain again figured it out. Like, just it never affected me. It was just like in school, like I think like me mum and dad used to argue a lot or something like that, because
any violence between
no them? It was just like how can I say it, like he was just
like loud, maybe a bit unsettled and stuff.
It was just constantly unsettled because either the brothers are fighting or the sisters are fighting, or obviously my mum and dad are fighting, so it was never like a peaceful home, you know what I mean? It was just a madhouse. And then obviously in school with social services coming in and out, we have to have like a brain just so we didn't slip up, case social services obviously came in and took us. But then I feel along the line when social services actually got us, when my dad went to jail and my mum's in hospital, like there's nothing we could have done. Like no, none of the family, they didn't have. I don't know why we never went to the family at the start, and we ended up which I've lived with family before that. Like me and John again was living with me nan when we was a bit younger. Because obviously social services had to take us off me mum and dad, and then we stayed with family for a couple of months. But when it comes to the time where social services come into the school, with like parents, like foster parents, and then all of us split up, and then it was just like
the world come crashing down.
That was the worst time in my life, just because like going back, it's why I never told my mum that my dad was cheating on my dad, my dad was cheating on my mum, and I never, just so the family stayed together. So I thought, let my mum find out when she finds out. But at this time, still now, my brain is always that's just always there. That like now, that the way it turned out now, I thought it'll turn out bad when I was younger, but the way it turned out now, I wish I just told my mum and just, because that might have, like when I was in primary, got kicked out, or when I was in school, I say it didn't have a part, but I don't know if that was the reason that made me become one of the reasons anyway, make me become like
misbehaving and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that, and unsettled, yeah. And when you're that age, you wouldn't know, would you? Do you know what I mean? You've got all these things going on in your head, and you know, as I said, there's loads of young people out there now who've, you know, who are in unsettled families, and they've got things going on in their minds. That, you know, they might know that the mum or dad's cheating, or they might be arguing, unsettled house. What sort of advice, if you could give advice to your 9-year-old self at that time? You've just said a little bit then that you would have told your mum that sort of thing, but not even just specifically because your dad was cheating. You're in a house and it's unsettled, it's loud, you know, your dad's cheating. What advice would you give like a confused young person? What would you give yourself? What advice would you give yourself?
One thing I wish I'd done when I was younger is not keep it inside.
Speak to people.
Always speak out. Like,
yeah.
Even now, like I've experienced it, so now I know. Yeah. Like if I'm going through bad time, even though I'm 19, everyone cries, everyone goes through emotions, but always speak out to someone, because there is someone out there who could help you.
Yeah.
You think that there's not, because you think this and that, but everyone's going through bad times, and someone knows something about it, or like.
And there may be a sort of certain sense of shame to sort of, you know, say, listen, I'm feeling terrible here, I'm weak at the moment and I need someone to help me. And I suppose I've been myself quiet and not really spoken out to people. But that's your advice, to sort of tell people to, one bit of your advice anyway, is to tell young people maybe struggling in family life to speak out to people. You know, you've got people in schools now, haven't you, teachers, neutral people that you can speak to, and obviously you said in some of your schools you didn't feel like that about your teachers, and then you met teachers that you did. So if any young people that are in school struggling at home, if they've got any teachers they feel comfortable talking to.
Just in life, just in life, yeah. Anything's like on your mind, like it could come to where you want to commit suicide, or you want to do something daft.
Yeah, if it spirals out of control before it gets
you
too
can
much.
Just speak out to someone. Definitely. And there is help out there for you. You might not, obviously you're going through bad time, so you think the worst, but there's always someone or something there to help you out.
Yeah, definitely. So you've come through that unsettled, an unsettled childhood and stuff, through various things. You've had an unsettled school, really. So then let's go into the bit where you move into foster parents now, and you've obviously split up from your family, and you know, obviously that's impacted you loads. So what's it like? Can you remember the first day you went into foster parents?
Yeah, it was pretty, like, with me, I've always tried to stay strong, like, if you know what I mean. So at that time, like, I was just worried about all my other brothers and sisters, because when I was younger, I had a proper brain, like, but all my brothers and sisters was like not on my level, if that makes sense. Like, they weren't like at my thinking. I was on the ball, so I, like, my little brother and sister, they was only 5 or 6, I think.
Younger, so you were
I weren't bothered about myself. I was just worried that my brother and sister I've lived with for 12 years, when I was 12, and obviously I've got a couple older and a couple younger, so I've lived with them all my life, and just to get taken away like that, plus it was hard when my mum was in hospital, where we didn't have my mum there, so that was topping it off. But just the fact that we all got split up, so I was just thinking about my brothers. But the first day I went into foster place, it was close to Brighton, so I was half alright, but there was a girl, the girl was called Carolyn, and there was the lad was called Chris, but they had a son who had a disability,
right?
And like me and my brother, I was there for 9 months, my brother was there for about 5, but my brother's head was probably everywhere, so he didn't catch having, like, say, different parents. He didn't like the way other people were telling him what to do.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So, like, my brother moved to speak, and I was in this foster place on myself.
Yeah.
With there was some girl called Sophie Lyons there, and obviously Alex, their son, who lived there. So Alex, like, always wanted to play FIFA, and the one with the disability always wanted to play FIFA, or always wanted to, like, do something with me anyway. So that made me get through a couple of days, and like, there was one day Alex used to go to a youth club on Moscroft, and I weren't allowed out at this time because I've only just moved there and stuff.
Right.
So there was a youth club where Alex used to go. So Caroline said to me, "Do you want to go to the youth club?" I went, "Yeah." So I went down with Alex just because I was like Alex's best mate. Like, he was boss, and then but like other people would have, or other kids maybe could have
reacted differently. More angry towards the situation. A lot of kids do in care and stuff. They get angry.
Like, he had a disability, and he was always constantly saying, like, "Do you want to game FIFA? Do you want to game FIFA?" But with me, I like that. Like, since I was younger, all people with like disabilities or this or that, like, I'm not one who makes fun of them. I'm the one who like says, "You're alright, mate, I've got time for them." Yeah, so it just clicked where Alex made me get through like the start of the stage, you know what I mean? So we went to the youth club anyway, and it was at this time I was 12. It was like rammed, like 60 people in there every night. We used to there was a mugger down at the bottom, and a mugger, like a football pitch. So I played football obviously, so, and he was FIFA on the Xbox and PS. There was snooker tables, there was ping pongs. So I started going there a bit, and then turned around, started making little mates from there and stuff. And then it turned out that there was a group in the end where all of them looked at me as a leader. Again. So I've always been a leader in me like since I went into year 7. And then as we was growing up more and more, kept going to youth club, and then we started going out on the streets then when we turned 13, 14. And obviously I went to
you moved to a children's home.
I moved to a children's home in Kirby, because I was only there for 9 months in the first place.
It was a temporary foster placement, was it?
It weren't, it was supposed to be there long term, but
what happened there?
It was just like, there was like Sophie, like I was 13 and Sophie was 16, but her old boyfriends used to be allowed in, and I had a little girlfriend then at 13, like, so mum weren't allowed in. But now I look at it and think,
you understand.
I was a kid. She would left school and ready to leave school. So
you don't see that then, though, do you?
But when I was a kid, obviously, like,
it was unfair to you.
I thought they had favourites, which they was only treating the older ones as obviously.
Because they're old and stuff. Bedtimes are later at night.
So I thought they had favourites. So I kept sneaking out in the morning, like it was a bit, but obviously still with family and family stuff and that flung around my head at this time, still trying to get into like a little rhythm where like get used to it and stuff. And I turned around and end up getting a move anyway. I moved to Kirby in a care home. And
what was that like? Kids home, now it's bigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
The foster parents, more kids and stuff. What's this
like? They weren't
for you.
They weren't just certain staff in there, like certain times. It weren't like a mum and a dad. It was like people doing 2 days on and 2 days off and stuff like that. Which it was a bit mad because when I went in, I was only 13. Turned around, walked in, it was like a palace. It was like, it was massive. And then there was 3 other people there, Aaron, Sean and Ned. I walked in, they were standing there because like as the years went on in the care home, you get told a new person's coming in.
So
you're always, so it was like mad. I walked in, there was like 3 people standing here wanting to know, and like, it was like, you're alright, and I was like, yeah. But I'm used to having like,
Of course.
me little house, you know what I mean? This was like massive, so I walked in, and obviously, as Shana left, Shana kept staying out every night. Adam moved back to his mum's or whatever, so it was just me and Adam as the care home was going on. It was alright at the start, and then like people was coming in, like new people obviously, and there was a girl called Rachel. She come in. She's probably the best person that I've ever met as a kid, if you know what I mean.
The person, was Rachel coming into the children's home to live, or was it a member of
staff? Yeah, to live. Obviously, she moved in. It was me, Rachel and Erin, and then it started getting better because I didn't really speak to Erin then, like bits and bobs, because she lived with me, but she was like, I was like a scally, and she was from like by Runcornish, so she didn't like.
She went on your same wavelength.
So, but she used to go out sometimes, but then Rachel come, and she was from Kirby, so it was like scally and scally, so we just connected straight away, and turned around, and obviously more people was coming in, and then it got to a point where like Adam was clean and Rachel was clean, and I was clean, so at this time it was alright, but then when new people was coming in, it half got a bit scruffy, and started some holes was in the walls and stuff like that, and with me, I'm dead clean, as you can tell with my gaff and that.
That's OCD you were saying before as well.
OCD and that, so...
Told me which way to put the wire on the stand and all that before, didn't you?
But it's just, it got to a point where in this care home, sometimes he had like people, like some lads would come in, and I had like gym gear or stuff like that, or...
Stole you, rob it.
They'll rob it, or like army room and stuff, and then there'd be people who don't have showers, and then they're touching food, and then it started getting a bit. There was a lad called Rob who come in, who was like, he was like a jail material, you know what I mean, like a bad guy. So he turned around, he come in, he started making all the other lads do other things, like kick all the banister posts out, and make my house look scruff, even though it was their house, it was my house.
You living there, definitely.
Like, it come to a time where it started getting a bit down a rocky road. So,
I can imagine it's I've lived in children's homes myself, and obviously what happens, and what you just said there, you have the young people who were living in the house at the time for a good while, and then someone else will come in it for the first couple of weeks, even if that person's alright, it sort of unsettles the place for 2 weeks, and then I used to find anyway, but then if you get someone that comes in wants to start causing trouble, or unhygienic and stuff like that. I mean, kids in care come from all different backgrounds and stuff, and like I said about learned behaviour earlier, the kids who was bloody unhygienic probably come from where he was neglected and stuff. Maybe, I'm not saying he was, but it's like learned behaviour and stuff, and a lot of people who come into care have just got problems, like who have been through a tough time, like yourself, and everyone's different, but to have it all under one roof, it's quite unsettling for everybody, isn't it? And it's a strange it's a strange layout, isn't it? And hard to cope with.
At some point there was 6 of us living in the house, and it started getting to a point where like some days I'll go without food, like I won't eat and that, just because like obviously the way my brain like they're clean and that, where like, so I started speaking with the staff and saying that like people are not getting showers and stuff like that, but I after the grind it out, like I could have just thought, you know what, I'll give up, like some people do, but that's not the way forward.
No, it's
like grind it out, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So like I was said to you before about any advice for young people going through struggling at home and in school and stuff like that. You know, you've moved into a foster parents, it's changed your whole life, your brothers and sisters are gone, so you're probably feeling
maybe a bit lonely, sad, confused, upset, your whole world. I mean, even in your tough times at home, your brothers and sisters were always the unit. Even when your mum and dad, you know, they were always there, but they'd been took away. So what's your advice for someone that's in a children's home or in a new setting like that, you know, to sort of, because statistically kids in care, and this is a very high statistic, always have criminal records, bad behaviour, and these kids getting criminal records, and it's almost, even if you go in half decent kid and then you get that kid who wants to make everyone do stuff, you can get arrested, have stuff on your record, but then these kids will sometimes grow up and want to be better, but they've got all these records. Statistically, you're very lucky to come out of care without a criminal record, but I believe that it's not entirely their fault. Your decisions when you make there after a hard life, you know, it's quite unfair, the care system and that. So anyway, it's a terrible situation sometimes to be in, and it's confusing and stuff. So what's your advice to someone that's in a children's home or foster parents?
The biggest advice is, I would say me and Rachel was definitely not like anyone else. Yeah. The biggest advice I can give someone, don't follow other kids. Like me and Rachel, that's why every time, like with me, every time, like if I say sometimes I couldn't eat and I got a bit angry, or say Rachel had diabetes, so say like she needed sugar or whatever, me and Rachel used to like help each other out, where like when she was angry I'll say come and speak to me, or so me and Rachel was dead close and dead connected. But that the only reason why we was is because we never ever followed anyone else in the care home. So this Rob, with that come in, for instance, for an example, there was a few lads who was following him and doing the things that he does, or he was a bully and he used to tell them to do this and do that. Instead of them speaking up and going South Staff or this and getting them moved or whatever, he was following him and he was getting into trouble. So
into trouble,
the advice I can give to people who say like they haven't got money, because in care homes you don't get as much as other people who live with the mum and dads. You don't get like big boss foods or big boss clothes or whatever. Obviously you're going through bad salmon or your family problems or however you're in there. Speak with the staff. If you get out what you put in, so if you be nice to the staff, they'll help you out. And with me, I used to always say like, I used to always be a goody, like go out, come back home, go to sleep. 9 out of 10, I'll always have respect for the staff and stuff like that. But other kids, like they'll turn around and start like going into detail and saying things about staff's families, which they're only there to help us. So
of course,
communicate with the staff and you get more out of it, which I started getting like when I was younger, and started getting my own like my own notepad to write what I'm doing in a day, or get my own new bedding or stuff like that. Like it used to make me proper made up. So that's because I was dead nice with the staff and
being
not
nice,
following other people.
And so the advice there is obviously again, talk to people, talk about your problems. The better out in the out to someone who you've got confidence in.
There's always a solution.
And always a solution. You can speak about your problems and stuff like that, and also be nice to the people who are being nice to you, the staff and stuff like that, because ultimately it makes your life easier, and they sort of want what's best for you. A lot of them, there might be some kids out there watching this now that have got experience with staff that aren't the best. Have you ever had anything like that?
Well,
out of order, staff that are unprofessional, out of order, maybe a bit mean, sort of thing?
Well, with me, I used to, like, because they're grown up and we're young'uns, staff, some staff, like, they've had a bad day with the family and they've come in on shift or whatever. Sometimes you just have to bite your tongue and just calm down, you know what I mean, instead of flipping, because I've seen some people like punch staff, or seen people who smash the property up. One time they have smashed the property up just because obviously problems and that. But like in the end, that people might think that they're doing bad, but they're coming in on shift to actually help us out. Like
So
it's
yeah,
at least we've got a roof over our head and
definitely.
stuff like that, you know what I mean?
So yeah, talk to people, appreciate what you've got, treat staff with respect, because it's all makes your sort of journey through that better. You know, people are all different walks of life, and people have got different sets of issues and stuff, and there'll be kids in kids' homes that are more angry than others. There's kids in kids' homes that are more vulnerable to follow people. There's kids who might be watching this that, you know, can hear what we're saying about don't follow others and don't be peer pressured, but they're very vulnerable to be, the word evades me, they're very vulnerable to be sort of, I forgot the word, but led astray easily enough by other people and stuff like that. But it's all stems from what's going on within. So the biggest advice, and we've said this twice now, you've pointed it out twice, what you'd have told your younger self is speak out to people.
Yeah.
Speak out to people, get these issues from within out, because there's people around you trying to help you.
But
and that's what you're saying now, and later on in life you look back and realise that, so you can say that now from experience.
But in care homes, like, it's not all, like 9 out of 10, it's not an happy place, obviously, because it's not your proper home. Your mum and dad are not around, or your family are not around, or sometimes you can't see your family. So people are constantly stressed out and going through bad times, so they think it's time to give up, but don't give up. Look at me, like a couple of years later, I've had a brain, and I've used that time to become a better man in myself, and obviously that's what's
definitely
the way it's gone.
What I've sort of, I was told about you, and then I've looked you up, and then we've spoke a couple of times and all that, and I've noticed that you've got like a big heart, and you've got like a you're quite advanced for your years, you're more mature, and it seems like you've been like that all along. Even when you said you moved into foster parents and there was the disabled kid, you were always there, and you didn't sort of put him down. Some people would have, and you enjoyed that, and you were nice to him and stuff. And then even back early years, you were nice to kids in school, and you were always anti-bullying and stuff like that. What do you think? Is there a person in your life that give that to you, or was you just like that from the start? What has made you like that? Because you've had a big heart from when you were a kid. No matter what you've been through or how you've behaved, there's a part of you that shines through. You know, you're anti-bullying, and you're lovely to this disabled kid, even though you're going through all this.
Like,
what's that?
I don't know.
Just like, you. It could just be you. Do you know what I mean? It's just natural.
Like people.
That's why I think that's why I love the fact that we're doing this this podcast, because I think that you're I've said it on my video before, breath of fresh air, and you're the absolutely perfect role model for youngsters that have been through what you're going through in care, or just an unstable childhood, bits, you know, up and down like a roller coaster ride childhood, you know, struggling in school, even kids that are just sort of in a nice little home but they're struggling with things. I think you're a good role model for that sort of thing. So, you know, is there anyone in your life that give you that, or just from the start?
It's just growing up, just always just having a positive mind, and always, like, I think it was when I was younger, when I was a footy player.
Nice.
I've just like when I was younger, I was a footy player, and I was the one in my brothers and sisters who looked at like I had a future ahead of me, if that makes sense. Even though I didn't know if they had a future or not, but I was thinking about myself, and obviously at this time, my brothers and sisters, I was the footy player, and none of them had any hobbies, doing any hobbies or anything. So, like, looking like when I was a kid, like sometimes me nan didn't like, or I wouldn't say didn't, but was struggling to like have money after she paid her rent, like, and stuff like that. And when I was younger, me looking at that with having being a bit older in the head at that time, so I don't know why, but I used to always think when I'm older I want to help you out to not pay rent anymore, or so since a young kid I've always wanted, just had a brain to want to help people out, and as I've been growing up, obviously the disabled, there's a disability kid and stuff, and even lads in school who was going through bad time, I used to have a chat with kids in school to not be naughty and stop kicking out at people and stuff like that. So I used to always, sometimes have calmed people down in school, which weren't even my job, but I just thought, obviously at that time when I was going through a bad time as well, and I was thinking, well, I know how to, I'm one of them who can handle it, so they can't, so I want to give them a bit of advice to, like, you know what I mean? To don't do nothing wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Your life could change just by just one little mistake.
Yeah, definitely. And you've always had that vision, as you say, being a little bit more, you know, wise and stuff as a youngster. And that's, I suppose, you know, it's a good quality to have, and it might be, you know, it's good for you that, and there's kids out there that might not have it and stuff like that, and that's why people like you are important, because you can help them out. And I suppose you've been helping people since you were a kid and stuff like that. But I think the way you've been through a lot of stuff, but I can't even say like the way you turned out. I mean, you're motivated now, and we'll get on to the good stuff now, and how life changed when you become a boxer and stuff like that, and how boxing changed your life. But you should be proud of yourself from a very young person.
That's what I mean. So,
you know, proud all the way through, because you might have had hard times.
That's what I mean. I've achieved in life already. Like, I've been rock bottom. Like,
of course.
If no one's heard my story before, like, I was on £7 on a Saturday, so and everyone, all my mates was on at tenors every day and that and stuff like that. So, like, me growing up, my family weren't rich, or my family didn't. My family didn't have, and plus he had 8 brothers and sisters, so my dad couldn't give us a tenner every day to go out and stuff like that. So since a young age, I've never had like all big boss stuff and stuff like that. So
you know the
I always appreciate everything I get, and like, even if it's the smallest things, and then obviously just growing up. It's
well, that's the message as well, as you say about that. When you've sometimes the bad experiences in life and the things that we think at the time are very negative can turn out to be the things that we needed to happen.
Everything happens for a reason.
Definitely. And that's another thing that we can tell that the youngsters at home maybe struggling and stuff. Think positive. I think you've always thought positive yourself, James, and think positive, and always sort of look to the future positively, and don't put yourself down, and just know that you can achieve it, but you've just got to stick in there and think positive. And even though you're in a bad situation at the moment, in a negative part of your life, these negatives can quite easily become something that makes the more positive things in future very positive. Like, sometimes that you need the storm before you can enjoy the fine weather. And you know, if you're in care, or you badly behaved at school, or you go to a special school or a naughty school, or you're having a bad time at your family, it's not because you're a bad person, or because you're not doomed. You can change, and you can come forward and change your life for the better. So it's not, no matter where you are now in life, you can literally change your life for the better. You just need to be, think positively, be yourself.
Like, another bit of advice in life, even growing up a bit as well. It's just always be yourself. Like that, like I was saying before, my mates who had £1,000 coats and stuff like that, I didn't look at them thinking like, oh, I want to be you. I thought to myself, like,
one day,
like one day, but at that time I was happy the way I was as well, and like you know what I mean, I weren't like jealous of people and stuff like that. It was just that, like, I was just being myself, and when I've grew up now, I'm still myself. I wouldn't go out and like pay £1,000 just because when I was younger I seen other people do it. I'll buy stuff that I like, and I'll wear what I want, if that makes sense.
Because when you're younger as well, though, it's the peer pressure into thinking like he's got this, he's got that, the styles and stuff. And that's another bit of advice: don't fall for them styles, because when you get older, you will look back and think.
Even people that are older now, they think I need to have like Louboutins, and I need to have like these squared and stuff like that to go out. But that's not the way to go. Like, if you're buying them and leaving yourself with nothing, that's not the way forward. You buy stuff that you can afford.
Definitely.
And people will look at you the same as do you look at them? Just because they've got £1,000 shoes on doesn't mean that they can run faster than you in the midges at the same pace.
But that's my mentality. You've got to stay, as the podcast is called, just real, and that's why we've got a little £20 camera stand here, lads, with all the personal. We've got to start just real. I can't afford at the moment to pay for a studio, so we will do it like this. The message is what matters, and what we're going to get that across. So let's move in to the main thing now. Obviously, we've went through all the childhood and stuff. We've given the messages what you would have told yourself when you were in them situations, so the youngsters watching this can take something out of it and maybe be inspired to look at it the way that you did and come out of it like that. So boxing, you're a professional boxer, you just turned pro, you get to have a fight, but you're amateur, you look good and you're brilliant in the amateurs, and I've seen you in the bloody gym and all that, mate. You're going to go somewhere, aren't you? So boxing, how did it start?
Even just before that, before boxing, after the care home situation, I ended up going into a foster place again.
Did you go back into a foster placement?
I went into a foster placement just because I said to my social worker that I want someone, because I had my dad around, didn't I? He was like the model, role model to me.
Model, yeah.
So like I wanted a lad in my life again who like turned around and done stuff for me. But I got a foster carer who was a bit older, but was someone there for me to like who I can talk to and stuff like that. And it was in Aiton, and Tom Honeyman, his name was. I was there for a couple of months. He got me into the college, and I ended up getting my moped and stuff when I was in his. Yeah. And
I think I remember you talking to you about. I think I remember your last podcast that you did, talking about this guy. I was going to bring it up, but it's a good thing because I forgot.
Tom Honeyman, but at this time, me mate who died and stuff. So that was obviously when I was staying strong. But he was helping me through this time when my mate died, and then
was that your mate from childhood, or who was?
Nah, we used to argue before we met.
Did you?
It was a mad one. Like he was one that used to be dead confident, and I'm dead confident. So like it weren't that we didn't get on. It was just that a few of the lads who we went with used to try and say stuff to me and stuff like that. So it got to a point where my brain, I just wanted to be his mate, because I knew that he was the same person as me and we could have a good click and we could have a good connection. So I turned around and I just messaged him saying, I want to be your mate, like I don't want to argue with you and stuff.
Another sensible way to go about it.
Never hold a grudge.
Yeah.
But I turned around and I said, I want to be your mate and stuff. But he was a bit, like I was a bit older than him, like 2 years older. But turned around and we ended up meeting each other. I knew I've met him before and stuff, but we ended up meeting up this day. Yeah. And it was like we become really good mates. Like the first day we went down to down the field and we had a game of footy, but he never really played football. But I all of a sudden turned around and got us playing footy and stuff. Yeah. And he come to watch me play football sometimes, and we just got that little connection where, like, I bought a brilliant bond. Yeah, and with all my mates, he was mates with them, but like he didn't come out with us when I was out. So I thought, I just want to become your mate. Yeah. So then me and him basically, because I was the leader in my group of mates, which all of them looked as me the leader. Yeah. He became the leader with me because he was like
similar. Was he similar to you?
Yeah.
Is that why
we was the same size. Yeah. Both had long curly hair. Both all the girls liked us and stuff. So we was like it was like a little bond where
like
we was like
sort of thing, just close.
Like we used to like have a little arguments, like mate arguments, where like we used to say I get more beers than you, and I get as kids obviously. And then when he died, he got run over just there.
How long ago was that?
At the edge of this road. He was 13 and I was 15, so 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And
how did you deal with that sort of thing? How did that affect you?
Well, it affected me massively. Like
can imagine.
Like I was still like in foster place with Tom Honeyman and stuff, and if Tom weren't there, if I was in a care home, I probably would have went downhill and probably went the other route, going to jail. Like it was, even though I was only mates with them for 10 months and I was dead close to them, out with them every day and stuff like that. Like,
but it sounds like you'd become
it was
close.
Have you know where like you could be closer to someone that you've knew for 2 minutes, then
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Listen, when you just have that connection with someone, you have that.
But he had that connection with him, and when he went, Tom Honeyman helped me out a lot, and like turned around and was just always had me back. Then Tom ended up I woke up one day and Tom died. Tom was in his bed dead. And
did you find him?
No, I never found him. Like his son ended up finding him, but like he used to always be out and stuff, so I didn't know. But then he ended up moving to a place in Prescott, in like another care home.
Yeah, how did Tom die? Was he old? Was he older, or
he died of cancer.
So he just died in his bed.
So I lost Frankie, my mate, and then I lost Tom.
And Tom was there for you, supporting you through Frankie, and then you lost him as well. So where are you there in your head mentally? Where are you now?
It was an horrible place, like for a 15-year-old kid to turn around and like just be at that stage in life already, losing people, going through all the stuff that I went through. And then he ended up moving to a place in Prescott. My social worker was quite good. He used to look out for me just because he was like my dad as well. He used to like get along really, boss with my social worker. And then moved to some place in Prescott. I was there for a day. Some girl was in there. End up turning around, end up getting me kicked out. Like I got a phone call at night time. I wasn't even there the day. I got a phone call at night time saying you're not allowed back at the place, stay where you are tonight.
Why was that? What was she saying?
It wasn't nothing to do with like me and her. It was just that like she like when I was younger, like a few of the lads had like bags of weed and stuff like that. So one time there was a bag of weed in my pocket, which I've never smoked or nothing, or never took drugs. So I didn't want it. So obviously I turned around and said to this girl, do you want this? Like to get it out of me way and that, because I didn't want it or nothing. So I've given it to her, and turned around, and the police that phoned me, don't go back to that place tonight. And I was thinking, what? And then I got took in for an interview and turned around that she was probably just mad. She turned around and said I've given spice and stuff. But it was only like
well, listen, it's one of them, isn't it? And in children's homes or foster parents and that, they take it serious and that, but obviously it's a situation where you've just been around it and you've had it in your pocket and you've tried to give it to them. So turns into a little dodgy situation, hasn't it?
So they've turned around and said to me, don't come back tonight, and I thought another time, like my life is just crashing down, so I thought just keep going. So a couple of days I stayed at one of my families, and she my foster place, I mean my social worker turned around, phoned me and went, we've got you a place. And I went, where? And he went, in Toxteth by Smith Down Roadway. So I thought, oh yeah, it's sound. So I went, okay, so when am I going? And he said, well, I'm taking you there tomorrow. So I went, okay. So as I went down, it was had my own shower and that in my room. So I thought, yeah, this is all right. It was only 15. I was there for 7 months, just like a couple of months before my 16th birthday, and the lads in there was like smoking spice and stuff, and I've never done that. So my nose is killing, and it weren't a nice place to live. And I thought, you know, I had my moped then, so I kept coming down to Brighton from there, and I thought, I'm not going back. I'm just going to stay in foster in my families until like I get my own place. Since the age of 12, like in care homes, in semi-independence, in foster place, I've always done my own ironing, my own cooking, my own doing everything myself, washing my own clothes, because I have to do it myself instead of other people and stuff like that. So it got to a point, I was nearly 16, and I said to my social worker, I want to live on my own. He was like, you're in the semi-independent, you need to give us another couple of months to show us you can do everything. I said, well, I've done it since the age of 12, since I've been in the care system, so I want my own place. And he went, okay, we'll sort it. So turned around, and within 2 months or something of me staying in a family, it got to like, I was just nearly turning 16 now. So he said, I've got you a place, I've got your own place. And I was like, I was living with someone, or was it man? And he went, yours, yeah.
Discount?
No. So it was a private one on Pilts Lane, and I went, okay, I'm above the shops and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I used to argue with the lads from Pilts Lane, so I thought, so that's something. So I never get lucky, so I turned around and thought, you know what?
So you can keep yourself to yourself.
Yeah, so I had my own property, and turned around, and but in fact before that, I did have a girlfriend who lived in Walton, and I basically lived in hers, like near to the end of
little posh bird, lads.
Yeah, near to the end that I split up with her. Like, I was getting me placements at this time, so I got me place. We split up, and then so that was just like, I thought bad luck was coming back, if you know what I mean. When I was
splitting up. So much of it, you just used to it by now.
Yeah, so I got my own place at this time, just turning nearly 16, and then I was in my old place for like 2 years. At the start, I started bringing lads around, me mates, and started.
As you do with your first gaff though.
Obviously, but it was private, so I made up that, like, I used that as like a stepping stone to where I am now, where like I've brought people around. He had parties and when I was younger. And
19 years of age, you're saying that now. Some people 19 years of age might have just starting to do that. So
like I was like 15, and like I was going to pubs with like, I used to always engage with like older lads, and we used to I'd bring it back to my flat and stuff like that. So it got to a point where like I started me boxing, like just before I turned 16. I had my own place.
16 years of age is when you started?
Like as soon as I moved into my place, then that's when I started boxing. But before I started boxing, me and Frankie used to like fight on the streets, or if any of my mates had arguments, they'll go, because I was the leader of all the group, Franny, or if anything come across, it was always me that had to deal with it. So the pressure that I had on my shoulders to make all my mates happy, and then obviously get into my own gaff at 15, like, I look back and think, how did I do it, you know what I mean?
Well,
and then Frankie used to always, like, because I was going to start boxing, but like, to get me fitness going, you know, while I was doing footy.
You've been doing football all this time, so things.
So
that was keeping you, burning your energy off, and keeping you, maybe getting you through. Sport's a big one, isn't it? Get you through.
So I used to say to Frankie, do you want to start boxing? And Frankie used to always say that, like, you can be a champion and stuff like that, even before he even started, just because I was a street fighter. And I thought, you know what, like I said, I had a man called Andy Robinson who stepped into my life couple of months when I was back in my care home.
Right.
And it got to a point where he turned around and said, obviously, you've got a boxing gym, do you want to come down? And I went down and running up the hill, doing hill sprints, first one up, and then I started sparring, and I started liking it just because I was a street fighter, so I liked fighting, that was it. So turned around and my dad just got out of jail, I've got my own gaff, and I've started boxing with Andy Robinson. And
what gym was that out of?
Eight and ABC. And I had my first fight and my dad was there, like, since a young kid, and that I didn't think when my dad went to jail, when obviously I lost my family and stuff, I thought my dad's never going to see me play football again or something like that. So when he got out of jail and he actually come to my first boxing match, I was like I was buzzing, where I never thought that would happen again. So just me being positive through the whole care system, and obviously everything that was happening, just still being positive, just thinking something good that happened, something good that happened. Then it happens when my dad's come and watched me box for the first time.
How was it that helped your performance, lad? How did you get on in that first one?
Well, it was half my dad, but like you said on my last podcast, there was a couple of girls there that like give me a little boost. Like
that to give you a boost.
And I turned around and he ended up knocking the lad out just before I was 16, and I thought if I can at this time, I thought if I can do that as a 15-year-old, what can I do? But footy crashed down. Like, what could I do in boxing when I get a bit older? So when footy crashed down with like the care home stopping me from doing my football and stuff, obviously I had trouble with my managers and was but I turned around and had my first boxing match, got a KO, and then all my mates was like bigging me up and stuff like that, and obviously I've lost my mate, and I thought, give it a go. So
your mate had told you you'd be a champ. Is that sort of ringing in your ears while you're training and stuff?
Like I've always been like that person inside who deep down I love people, but I don't say it, if that makes sense. So I don't express my feelings. So me deep down, I wanted to do for my mates, and obviously when I knocked that lad out, I wanted to do it for all my mates because he was bigging me up and stuff like that. And obviously, like when my dad come, I thought if I keep doing stuff like this, then my dad would still come and watch me. You know what I mean? So I was having a few amateurs and stuff, and obviously lost some, won some, and I got a bond. At this time, when I was like around 16, like when I started boxing, I met a lad called Jamie Preston, and he had twins, Jake and Jamie. And like, even though anyone who comes into my life and they can have a laugh and they can take me banter, then I'm all day. Doesn't matter how old you are, I'll have a laugh at you, you know what I mean? So these two kids just come up into the gym, like they was in the gym anyway, but when I come, it was like they was like my little brothers, if you know what I mean. Like, I didn't really see much of my family over them years, and then when it come to the time where there was two little lads in the gym who used to like look at me as like an older brother, it just made me day to even go even more, just because
you had a connection with people as well.
Well, with them they was the most, but the gym in general, like Andy Robinson, Paul Furlong, Joey Rice, Jamie Preston, Dave Ash, all them had like a part, like they was my family, and
definitely.
From when I was younger and I lost all my family, they become my family. So that's why, like,
you found a passion for boxing. Is that what added to it and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I wanted to make them proud, and they was in my corner and stuff like that, and then the bond with the twins just kept building and building, and even though they was younger, I was an inspiration to them, so I was thinking, so then my brain used to tell me, like, if I'm an inspiration to them, then who else am I inspiring? So I thought, I'm obviously going down the right track, so it was a massive help to like to obviously go in my boxing career as an amateur.
That's it, and I found in the boxing, and I know that loads of sport is a great way to sort of channel things from your past or anything that you've got in your mind or anything that's affected you from childhood. It's a great way to channel it into a sport. Boxing in particular is something that I've been into also, and I started boxing when I was going through a bad time, like a relationship breakdown and stuff like that, and contact with my kid and my little boy and stuff like that, and I was in there and I was broken, and I went into boxing, and boxing's got a way of sort of giving you a new family. I mean, I was training with the lads not long before, they were like my brothers, and the coaches in your corner, and then when I fought, you were there at my fight, weren't you? My first amateur. It just gives you that family, so I know what you're talking about.
That's what I mean, like, if I started boxing, if there's any young lad out there who's going through bad time, even girl, any young lad or any girl, or any, doesn't matter how old you are, go and join a boxing club and get in there, and just, even if you can't do it, everyone starts from somewhere, so get into a boxing club. And
it's a good way.
I can promise you now, since when I started boxing, I stayed off the streets, or when I was on the streets, I knew it'll wreck me boxing if I done something wrong. I got all my mates in there, we started getting off the streets and getting out of trouble. It made me think twice about everything, like in general and everything, and then it's your second family, like I was saying before, like
it really is.
The boxing, when you walk in the gym, it just brings happiness. A boxing gym is just happiness. So any kid who's going through a bad time, or even in general, just go and join a boxing gym, and it'll make you a lot better person.
I'm totally with you on that, lad, because it saved me. It sort of saved my life starting the boxing, and finding that it really gets you out of tough times or help you cope with them. And then there's the side of the fitness and stuff, makes you feel better up here, doesn't it? And releases the endorphins and stuff like that. So there's that side of it, and it just literally does help you. So I would say to any youngsters watching, like James said, boxing and any sport, but boxing is brilliant, isn't it, James?
When I started boxing, like, I was going through a time where I was about to go to jail, and like, if I'd done boxing beforehand, I wouldn't be in that position, because obviously I would have think twice. But obviously I had people around me to support me in obviously stopping me from going to jail and stuff, which the twins and Jamie was a massive part, plus obviously Andy Robinson and my boxing club. So it saved my life from getting up to mischief on the streets and going down a bad road to where I am now. If I didn't make that change, or say my mate never said, or any of my mates, or I did join boxing, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now. In a happy place. And
that's the power boxing can give you, isn't it? And most sports, but boxing in particular, that's the biggest one for me for that. Any sport's great, but boxing, we've just so any kids who are watching boxing would be a good thing to get into, wouldn't it? And you're right, it does. It gives you that reason to keep going, doesn't it? And I think boxing gyms, you know, even in my gym, you get a lot of youngsters like yourself. I've said it even before, a breath of fresh air. Youngsters, I mean, before I joined the gym, youngsters are normally at a stage where they're 16, 17, they're immature and they're doing this. You're not really blaming them because they're youngsters, but when you get in the gym, I used to personal train in my gym. 18-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids who come over to my clients, like, come on mate, you can do it, you can do it, come on, push, come on, get, you know, inspire. Well, it's lovely stuff, and that's what you get out of a boxing gym. You get that discipline and that you know, they're a breath of fresh air, and
the biggest one for me was obviously like my family, but from back, like, I didn't have family for years. I was fighting life and every day on myself, because I couldn't see my family and stuff like that. So it's like now, like every couple of days, or even if I don't speak to them, Andy Robinson, Jamie Preston phones me up. The two twins phone me most days in the week and see how we am and stuff like that. So it connects you with people.
Definitely.
like
Gives you more support, doesn't it? And gives you
it connects you with people that nothing else will come close, if that makes sense. So I've become close with people.
Yeah.
The closest that I can come, just off obviously walking into a boxing gym and
definitely
giving it a go.
And I found also when you know, when I was younger with my brothers and sisters and we all split up and stuff like that, you know, you have that closeness with your family like that, but then when you start like boxing and stuff like that, you realise that family is much more than just people who are blood to you. Family can be people who are in your life and giving time for you and stuff, and just joining you on that journey and supporting you and stuff like that. So as the message for youngsters who may be listening and stuff, a sport, you know, particularly boxing in our case is absolutely paramount. It's like, it's great to do, it's really positive to get into, and it gives you that extra support and stuff like that, and also you'll burn the energy off. You're less likely to be fighting on the street then, because you're knackered. If you come out of the gym and you've done a proper training session, you don't want to fight on the street because you're knackered.
Yeah. Plus another thing with me, like when I was younger, I only know now that I didn't really tell people much about what was going on in my head.
Yeah.
I joined the boxing gym. I got close to Jamie and Andy more than anyone, and Dave. And before you know it, I started releasing the things that was fighting me in my head, and I started telling them everything and getting everything off my chest and stuff. And
that helps a lot.
They come more than the people in the gym become more than anyone else in your life. If you know what I mean. Like if you have a family, there's another group of family who aren't blood but are proper family, where you can actually, you get that courage,
definitely,
and you get that confidence to speak to them in that way. Because like say, if I was still living with my mum and dad and I was going through a bad time, like I wouldn't tell my dad some things and I wouldn't tell my mum, but I would tell Jamie, if that makes sense, or I would tell Andy, like just because they become that people in your life.
Definitely.
Where
cool. So what I think about the boxing though, I think as well, when you're in that gym and stuff, it's quite when you're outside in the world, you're trying to sort of, you're hiding a little bit from things, and you're keeping things in. You don't want to be shown to be a bit weak, or, you know, getting things off your chest. But in the gym, you can't hide. In that ring, when you've got to give your all and you're getting pushed to your limits, there's nowhere to hide. You can't pretend you're... Have you ever run up the stairs and tried to pretend you're not out of breath to people because you want to? Have you ever done that? But when you're in the gym, you cannot.
He was 4 sets of stairs in my old kid.
Yeah, I used to do that though. Go places or pretend to be with a girl or whatever, you're not out of breath. Them little things, but when you're in the gym, you can't hide the fact that you're destroyed. So it sort of breaks you down into the stage where, people that are around you and see you like that, you start being able to confide in them about your problems or maybe what's on your mind and stuff like that. And that's another good thing about the boxing and training in general, isn't it, lad?
So then I was in boxing, I had a couple of fights and stuff. I had 11 fights, and then a couple of months ago I got like in me head, inside me, I know what I'm capable of inside. No one can see, but I know what I'm capable of inside.
Self-belief.
So for months and months I kept thinking in my head, I want to be a professional, and then it got to, I was going to move from Iton, and obviously there was a few other things, like different gyms to think of and stuff like that. Obviously I wanted to be in a place where I'm comfortable and obviously where I'm improving. So one of my mates called Richie, I went to a session in Molly McStarn down on Dovecote, which is only 5 minutes from me, and I walked in, and as I was speaking with the coaches and stuff, like thinking this is home, but as soon as I walked in, I could just know that this is where I want to be, you know what I mean? So
you get them feelings, don't you?
But it was a pro gym as well, so forth. I've always wanted to be a pro. Hopefully I can become a pro in a year, if that makes sense. So I was going to stay amateur till I was 21, which I'm only 19 now,
Yeah.
nearly 20, and I was going to stay amateur till I was 21, and then I thought, you know what, I want to go pro. It was just in my mind, just to say, let's go pro now, and because I know inside what I can do, and I know I can get better. So just believing in myself, and I turned around to John Smith, the coach in there, and said, is there any chance that I can go professional and stuff?
And obviously your coaches have got their job to know that if you're ready or not, to guide you.
Well, we had a chat anyway, and obviously we both spoke, and then he said come down tomorrow in the morning, if you want to give it a go, and I went okay, yeah. So I went down the gym, and I thought, you know what, this like just overnight, my brain just turned around and was just fully focused on. When I was an amateur, I never done my runs, and when I was an amateur, I was still little bit there where I was.
A couple of drinks and that.
Yeah. So I was just doing bad things, like drinking, having a little bit of a bevy every odd weekend or something like that.
Ever been involved? Ever taken any drugs or anything like that? Or no.
Never smoked, never took drugs.
Just drinking it.
But I didn't have loads of things, so I wasn't like drinking every weekend. I was having a drink every now and then, just because.
It's a couple of pints.
Pink gin's my favourite drink, but no pints. But yeah, so when I spoke with John, he said, "Do you want to give it a go?" And I was like, "Yeah, come ahead." My brain just switched to like, I've always wanted to sort my family out. I've always wanted to be the best I can be, and everyone had high hopes for me. So I was thinking, you know what, let's go. So since just that overnight, it was like, I've always wanted to go pro since a year or a couple of months, and then I thought my mentality just changed. I was up in the morning jogging. I was
more serious
in the gym. I weren't dancing around the bag. I was giving 100%, and I just thought, this is the one, and I'm going to show it. I'm going to prove everyone wrong that just because I've only had 11 amateurs, that I'm gonna go to the top. And I'm from Iton as well, which not many people make it to the top out of like areas like this. And obviously having that mentality was because when I was younger, I used to think I want my own place, and I want this and I want that, and now I've got them just for believing in myself over them years. So now I'm believing in myself, and I know I can get there. I will get there. So
definitely
proving people wrong is probably the best thing in the world.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that, isn't it? It's a good motivator to do that and prove people wrong and stuff like that. But I've got no doubt that you're gonna smash it.
So then I turned around and I went and had a meeting with Steve Woods with VIP, and I signed a contract with him. And
was he happy to have you in that? Did he look into you first? Is that how it goes?
Nah, me coach, obviously. The good thing with me coach, like, I'll send him like pictures of like Rocky Fielding. He was at me fight at Madison Square Garden and stuff, and I'll send it to me coach, and then me coach will message me like, be there with you one day and stuff like that. So me coach obviously believes in me, and it gives me a boost to wanna like work hard for him as well as I'm working hard for myself, and I don't want to let him down and stuff like that. So like, I have loads of inspirations, like loads of people who are inspirations to me, like and obviously I'm always thinking positive, you know what I mean. So I just thought, after I spoke with Steve Wood, obviously my coach has belief in me and stuff, so he got on to Steve Wood, and Steve Wood said come down and stuff. So I went down, signed the contract, and I turned professional. But then everyone's like, you haven't got experience, and you haven't got this and you haven't got that, blah blah. But me believing in myself, you have to believe in yourself to start.
It's no one else's sort of you know, it's only down to you to believe in yourself, and I'm sure you've looked into some boxers that have started with only a few amateur fights. There must be a few out there now that have done well, but only had a...
Well, there's people who are on the Sky Sports shows and stuff like that, who have had white collars, like Sam Eglinton had white collars, and say like I do speak to a lot of boxers who take time out and actually give me advice and stuff like that.
Yeah, I take it on board and stuff.
And yeah, so I just think over the next couple of months, with this COVID and stuff, just hope that I get out and obviously show people that I'm working hard and that I'm gonna turn believers and doubters into believers.
That's it. And that's what it's all about, lads, and it's all part of your journey, as we've been through it all. You know, childhood and stuff, and you've kept positive, you've been through the ups and downs, you've had bad times in life, you've lost people close to you, and then you've lost other people close to you not long after. You found boxing, lads, and you believe in yourself, and it sounds like you've always believed in yourself, lads.
Yeah.
You know, so...
I've always had like a big head for myself, like...
Well, look, listen, it's self-belief, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people get judged for being big-headed, and it's looked down upon, but listen, if you believe in yourself, then you believe in yourself, and that's the way it is.
One bit of advice to anyone who... Like, it only takes one choice could change your life. So always think before you like do stuff, always and never be a follower. Always do it your way. Definitely. And I've done it my way, and now I'm sitting here in my own place at 19 years of age with
the world on you, with the world.
Yeah.
On your doorstep, just like you should always say you're gonna, you know, you're gonna do it. You've got your dreams that you're working towards, and you fully believe it, lads. And looking at the footage of your boxing, that lad, I fully believe it as well. And I reckon you're going to go far, lads. And I reckon there'll be people watching this now, years down the line, looking back where it was his early days and that. And you know, man, that's it. We've got to believe in ourselves.
That's what I mean. So like people like younger lads or younger girls who are going through a bad time or stuff like that, listen to this and take a note out of my book that.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, I was in the gutter. Like I had no one, I had nothing.
Yeah.
And just believe and just keep taking day by day and always listen to the elders. One thing when I was younger is I never listened to older people, older people than me, who's experienced it or stuff like that, because they're not telling you it for nothing. They're trying to guide you into the right direction in school or in care homes and stuff. So always take bits and pieces off everyone, and it'll guide you into the right direction.
So stay focused, stay positive. So yeah, let's sort of to wrap it up, lad. Let's just go over. You know, obviously you've heard James's story, and if you're a youngster out there and you're sort of going through any of the same stuff that James has been through, or you are in a situation that's different to James, but you need sort of something to change that, then, you know, boxing or a sport, or just to stay positive, or, you know, listen to what James has got to say and take a leaf out of his book and stuff like that. And you've got an Instagram, James, haven't you? What's your Instagram, mate, where people can go and find you?
JamesFrancis.01.
JamesFrancis.01, and James's page is there to, you know, obviously you'll be doing more of these things and you can see his footage and more of his story. But yeah, don't forget that you can change your life, or you can sort of change a negative experience to come out on top and be in a positive one. And I think that's the message that was sent today, James, isn't it? And if you can do it, mate, you know, then all the other kids out there looking at the same situation.
Anyone who that you haven't spoke about, if anyone is going through something that I might not have experience in, but being in bad situations before, I've done certain things to get out of that situation. So if anyone's going through a bad time, or even just for a little chat, just drop me a message on Instagram.
Definitely.
And I'll try and help you out as much as possible.
Yeah, and the same goes for me. You know, drop me a message. That's be great. And me and James are obviously going to be in talks about things coming up, how we can further help young people and stuff, but that'll be to come, that. So Thank you very much for listening to us today, and thank you very much to James for coming on, lad, and making my second episode a belter one. Made up, and I'm looking forward to see where you're going to go. Nice one.